I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realm of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch. For this night, and all the nights to come.
Welcome to the Night's Watch. The swords in the darkness. The mighty shields that guard the football realms of men. This week's Night Watch is a special edition as we had 4 of the elite members of the Night's Watch go head to head in a battle of Night's Watch supremacy. We start off in the city in the great Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Washington, where Dallas faced off against the Seattle Seahawks. Final score, Dallas 31, Seattle 38. Fantasy perspective, Russell Wilson, 27 of 40 for 315 yards and five touchdowns. This is the second week in a row he has thrown for 5 touchdowns. He added 22 yards on the ground with 6 rushes. Guys, I watched that game pretty much from beginning to end. Dallas put Russell Wilson under a lot of pressure much of the afternoon. But he took a lot of chances, threw the ball and a lot of tight coverage. Him and Lockett have a connection that just looks absolutely real. It just didn't look like Russell was just doing things with his legs, with his arm. He got down quick. He hit his targets. Russell Wilson looks unstoppable right now. Is he like the number 1 quarterback for the rest of the year in fantasy?
Yeah, I just want to say, to add to the stat line, not only is it 5 touchdowns, right, but clean sheet, no picks, dog.
No picks.
Right.
No picks.
I mean, I don't see any way you can argue right now with Russ being number 1 quarterback right now. And if you were somehow getting into a trade or something, like, he would have to have that kind of value, man.
Hell yeah.
Efficient, like you said, 27 of 40, over 300 yards, the 5 touches, the no picks. He did get sacked 4 times. You want to see that come up a little bit. He's getting a little busy on the ground. He went 6 for 22 there. You want everything to have in his life, his money, his wife, and his stat line, man. There's nothing bad to say about Russ right now. He's doing it.
Nah, he's balling. Russ is balling right now. He gets a gift matchup next week against Miami. So if you got him, fire him up. He's about to kill Miami. You fire up Tyler Lockett, fire up DK Metcalf. Hell, if you're looking at David Moore, if you're in a three wide receiver league, play David Moore too. It's going to be
I'm saying, like, what's the money line look like on the potential Geno Smith sighting in that game?
Oh, wow, that's true. They could be up so big that Geno gets in.
So I'm saying, might have another member of the Night's Watch.
We will welcome him in. He will take the oath.
To hell with all of you.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall live and die at my post.
I am the sword in the darkness.
The watcher on the walls.
The shield that guards the realms of men.
I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch. For this night, and all nights to come.
Also in that game on the Seattle side of the ball, Chris Carson did get a little banged up. He tweaked his knee. Didn't seem serious. Possibly could come back this week, but probably a 1 to 2 week injury. I know, Grant, you said that last week that Chris Carson was a bit jaggy to you. Now Carlos Hyde might be the guy. He could be sitting on people's on wires, or he could just be out there.
I hope so.
Do you take him? Do you play him next week against the Dolphins?
I mean, for me, that's like a classic desperation, especially if you had Chris Carson, replacement type move. If he's out there, you got other running backs that got hurt and you got nobody. You missed out on Mike Davis, whatever. Like, this is the spot where you'd want to use him. It does seem like Pete Carroll's leaving chance for Chris to come play this weekend, but I would hate to be in the spot where I'm thinking about Carlos Hyde, but it is what it is at that point.
Like everywhere Carlos Hyde has been, at least to my short memory, he has produced. Maybe not as consistently as you want it, but he's produced everywhere he's been.
He was a good back for the Niners.
Exactly. And the Bengals, I believe, was who he's got drafted by.
Yep.
Texans last year.
Yeah. And I would definitely again, based on how I felt about Chris Carson in that offense, I think Carlos Hyde has the ability to step in and do maybe not as many things because he's older and not as athletically gifted as Chris Carson is right now. But, I think he can produce.
Right.
I take the chance.
For sure. Well, on the losing side of the ball, Dak Prescott, another Night Watch elite member, he went 37 of 57 for 472 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 picks. He did pick up 26 more yards on the ground on 6 rushes. He threw a pretty bad pick in the second quarter, and he got a sack fumbled to begin the third. So it was a little sloppy day for Dak. He put up 57 passing attempts, let you know that he had to throw that ball out a lot. But because he had to throw it out 57 times, the receiving core 8. I don't even know who's going to pop off on the Cowboys receiving core on a given week. Michael Gallup, 6 of 9, 138 yards and a touchdown. Amari Cooper, 9 of 12 for 86 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 5 of 6 for 65 yards. And this guy who I never heard of, Cedric Wilson, 5 of 7 for 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, 4 of 6, 48 yards. And Ezekiel Elliott, 6 of 12 for 24 yards.
My main feedback from that game is you only handed the ball to Zeke 14 times and you let Dak, chuck it. What was that? 57 times?
57 times. Well,
I know they got down a little bit, right?
And Zeke wasn't very efficient on the ground to start the game off. He wasn't running the ball very well. And it looked like Seattle. Not even look like. Seattle secondary is garbage. They don't have the Legion of Boone anymore. You can beat them in the air. And so you've got CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Yeah, I'm throwing the ball all day. That's fine. And, Zeke got 12 targets. 12.
True.
So
True. They were using him.
Yeah, they were still going to use him, and they still use him in the passing game. So they didn't go away from him.
I was going to say, towards the Seattle secondary comment, right? I saw some crazy stat. I wish I had it in front of me. I don't. So look out for it on the Twitter. I'll post it later. That the Seahawks secondary, that they've given up some sort of crazy number of yards and touchdowns in the air for them to be 3-0. And Jamal Adams, another former Jet great, I'm not mad at the little basket of picks we got for him or whatever, but he was talking mad junk on Twitter, yo, I'm so happy to be a place, we're winning, all this kind of shit, and they're getting record-breaking, terrible defensive secondary stats put up against them, winning despite them, not because of him, dog. Jamal Adams flies around the field, he's a great NFL player, but just felt like the wrong time for him to be boastful, personally.
Well, despite Dak being on the losing side, he is still an elite member of the Night's Watch. I remember last year I had said, or I had put into a group chat of some sort, that I thought that the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL were black. And I still hold by that. I think Dak Prescott is at least the 5th best quarterback in the NFL right now. After, of course, Mahomes and Jackson, and I would go with Kyler Murray and, Russell Wilson. I still put Dak Prescott up there with them. But he gets a very tasty matchup against the Cleveland Browns at home in Week 4. So you got Dax, fire him up. You got any Cowboys player, fire him up. In the Monday night special, one of the highlight, the biggest game, probably the biggest, what people thought was going to be an AFC championship preview. You have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't like to be called Pat, apparently. Patrick Mahomes versus –
Pat's his dad's name, son.
Yeah, that's exactly
Pat Mahomes, former Mets great.
So we call him Patrick. Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, the current league MVP. So current league MVP versus former league MVP. However, only one of them has a Super Bowl MVP. And it showed in this game as Kansas City won 34-20. Of course, we're going to look at the Kansas City side of the ball. First, Patrick Mahomes. Man, this guy is just – Andy Reid knows what to do with a quarterback. He knows just – Andy Reid just knows offense. Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks to do it right now, 31-42 for 385 yards and four touchdowns, four rushes for 26 yards and another touchdown. 5 total touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, matching.
Don't hurt him, kid.
Matching Russell Wilson on the day. Guys, the Ravens blitzed this guy relentless. I watched this game as well. They blitzed him relentlessly. Like, I think they dialed up blitz probably one every 2 or 3 plays. And they failed. Mahomes was 16 of 20 for 3 touchdowns against the blitz. He had 260 yards and 3 scores at the half. Like, the guy was just juking, jumping, dancing in the pocket. There was a beautiful, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's a beautiful overhead throw, over the shoulder catch that Tyreek made in the end zone.
Yep.
And then he did that weird shovel pass. I mean, he was just doing whatever he wanted to that whole night. I think Mahomes is he's in the running. Let's say I'm putting him on my ballot for this week's Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. But, you know, we'll decide on that at the end. But he definitely goes on that. That was a really good game that he put on, and he really didn't make any mistakes. Jackson on the other side of the ball had a bad game for Lamar Jackson standards, but I mean the line is okay. 15-28, 97 yards and a touchdown, 9 rushes for 83 yards. So I mean it wasn't an atrocious day, but it didn't really. If you were going against Patrick Mahomes like I was, it didn't help you at all. But you know it wasn't what you were looking for. If you needed a Monday Night Miracle. Jackson wasn't helped by the fact that he had 5 drops.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
By Baltimore pass catchers, 2 by Marquise Brown. Two of those were in the end zone. So he could have had a much, much bigger day had his receivers caught onto the ball. Chiefs defense kept him under pressure for much of the night. Guys, Lamar Jackson, is it time to try to – if you're out here, is it time to try to buy low on Lamar Jackson?
I'm definitely not selling low on him. So if you think I got somebody that's, you know, maybe 1-2, 0-3 in your league, and they got Lamar Jackson out there, and you might be able to finagle them with a little mid-round, you know, a second running back, a second wide receiver type thing, definitely jump on that. Because like as evidenced this past week, right, even with that trash passing line, you know, he almost ran for 100 yards, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna get you that like probably minimum 50 to 60 yards on the ground. So he's basically starting off with a touchdown in scoring.
Basically, 100%.
A lot of chances for him to get in the end zone from a running standpoint for that, you know, 2-point bonus compared to a passing touchdown. And he's gonna have brighter days ahead of him in the passing game here.
I have a lot of Lamar Jackson stock, and I'm not looking to move off of him, but if I was to move off of Lamar Jackson, it would take a top 12 running back and or top 12 wide receiver to get him from me. I'm not giving up anything less than that.
Yeah. It's pricey. I am saying if you can find somebody to give him up for less than that, get him, because looking at it real quick, his next 5 games, DC recent racists.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bungles.
Yes, he
Philadelphia Eagles.
Woo! Yeah.
Then the Steelers maybe is a good game, but then Indianapolis after that, like, you know, again.
He has a good lineup. He has a good
greener
lineup.
pastures coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He has a chance to pad his stats against Washington.
Always does what Lamar does. I can't remember who said it, but somebody mentioned that his rushing yards are still there. I think he was still in range for rushing yards, right?
Yeah, 9 of 83.
Yeah, and I think passing, right? Lamar isn't, Patrick Mahomes from an arm standpoint, accuracy standpoint, right? But but when his receivers, who aren't the biggest weapons compared to a lot of other teams in the league, right, are better against relatively better against the defense that they're facing. If Hollywood Browns are better than all the corners on the other team, Lamar's probably going to have a much better day passing the ball. You know what I'm saying? Mark Andrews is going to have things are going to open up and Lamar is going to run. And based on what Grant just said, based on the schedule, it seems that those days are coming. So again, I would definitely his production.
Facts. Okay.
Go on.
I don't know how to ride a dragon.
Nobody does, until they ride a dragon.
What if he doesn't want me to?
Then I've enjoyed your company, Jon Snow.
Other performances of Night's Watchmen. We have Cameron Newton, 17 of 28, 162 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 9 rushes for 27. He put on a pretty solid performance against the Raiders. He didn't really have to do too much, as we talked about, because the running game was working pretty immaculately for the Patriots that game against the Raiders. Rex Burkhead had a big game. Sonny Michel had a big game. Cam did look a little off for most of the day against the Raiders, but I mean, it's a good stat line it's not the Cam stat line that you're looking for. Of course, if you pay them against the Raiders, you're hoping that he gave you a little bit more, but you're going to have, these are going to happen with the Patriots, with Cam. Some games he's going to have to be the star, and then some games he's going to be able to pass it off to his running game. So he does get a showdown against the baddest man on the planet right now, Patrick Mahomes, in week 4 in a Night's Watch special for next week. So we will see Patriots and Chiefs for next week. Deshaun Watson had a slightly better game than he had last week. 19 of 27 for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick in a 28-21 loss, unfortunately, to Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Pittsburgh came into this game as the league's blitz heaviest team, but they only rushed 4 at Deshaun Watson for much of that game. So Deshaun was able to pick their defense pretty much apart. And they, unfortunately, they still couldn't win. He had a really good ball to Randall Cobb deep on the left for a touchdown. Lionel, Watson hasn't really been good over the last 3 weeks, but his schedule is going to open up pretty soon. He plays the Vikings next week. Deshaun Watson, is he still? Do we still count him as an elite Night's Watch member, or is he closer to latrine duty?
I think that the impact that losing DeAndre Hopkins has had is we are now understanding what that truly is.
Try!
Right?
Yeah.
That is currently being truly understood. But I think Deshaun himself, from a talent standpoint, hasn't changed. I do think that there's some other stuff going on with that organization based on who the coach is. And I think that has to do something I don't like Bill O'Brien.
Put that on everything.
Power to allow that team to be successful is how I'll sum it up.
Yep.
And that affects Deshaun negatively. So I would be worried from a fantasy standpoint about his production moving forward, not because of him, the player, but because of the team and the situation.
Sad. I mean, Deshaun did sign a nice lucrative contract, so at least he's committed to being there. But man, they need to get him a wide receiver weapon quick. Yeah, the money was good. The money is good, and I don't blame him. Look, the Night's Watch doesn't pay well, so.
Bro, you gonna cook? Oh man.
Wait outside.
It's cold outside, and there's nothing to eat.
My wives give you bread.
the sawdust in the bread.
You don't like it. You go out there and eat the snow.
I'd rather eat what you've got hidden away.
We encourage we encourage our members to seek greener pastures if they can. Kyler Murray had I would say he had a hit or miss day. The only reason he's not in latrine duty is because I don't think he's at any risk of really losing his job. He went 23 of 35 for 270 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 picks in a 26-23 loss to Detroit. He did run the ball for 29 yards on 5 rush attempts for another touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns and 3 picks. So while the turnovers are a concern, fantasy owners are still pretty happy about that line. One of that rushing touchdown featured an absolutely ridiculous just juke near the goal line. I mean, Grant, I feel like you saw that like live, like
I did.
Yeah,
I was actually quietly, yeah. It was also more memorable for me because I had just transitioned outside to catch a little outside game watching. I don't know, was that in the 4 o'clock set maybe? I think it was after the 1 o'clock games ended. And I was just setting up my little iPad outside on Red Zone. I was about to throw a couple bags in the backyard. And like I had just set it up. And he he rolled out left, hit that step on the dude, caught him, went left again, bang, bang. And then it was just like stick the ball out, touchdown. And, it was a wrap after that. So, I mean,
it's very
definitely
fun
a fantasy-friendly line, especially a lot of spots that, don't penalize you too heavily for interceptions usually. So, if you can get that rushing, you can get the rushing touchdown. Those things even out.
Kyler's found the end zone on the ground in every game that he's played this year. So that rushing floor makes Kyler Murray a lot safer. He can kind of throw more picks and make more mistakes. He gets to face off against my team next week. He gets to go against Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers, which looks to be a pretty smash spot against that Panthers porous defense. So if you got Kyler Murray, start him. DeAndre Hopkins should eat. I even think you should start Andy Isabella if you're looking for a deep sleeper. Andy Isabella, deep sleeper for those people who want someone. Leading into
I don't know what his real name is. Like, did his mama really name him Andy? Is his name Andrew? Is his last name really Isabella? Like, same thing with Barrios on the Jets, right? I know that's
Brett Barrios.
Right. Like, all you guys out there that don't want to pronounce your last names for real, like I'm Colon. Stay true to your roots, Isabella.
Because Teddy Bridgewater is also a member of the Night's Watch. The Panthers finally got our first win of the season.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Without White Jesus, Christian McCaffrey, 22-28 for 235 yards and a touchdown. He ran the ball twice for 12 yards. He managed the game pretty effectively on the road against the Chargers. The Chargers had just put up a really staunch defensive performance against the Chiefs. And Bridgewater looked good. He threw a perfect pass to DJ Moore in the third quarter that looked like DJ was on a streak route. Just hit him in his hands. It was perfect. Bridgewater is a good game manager. At the very least, he's a good game manager. He showed that when he took over for Drew Brees in New Orleans, those 5 games, and I don't think he lost the game when he took over for Drew Brees. I think Bridgewater is, he's no Cam Newton, but for a team that is rebuilding and trying to figure out where they want to go in the future, I think that Bridgewater will allow us not to be at the total bottom of the barrel. So Bridgewater is he plays against Arizona next week. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, I would say he's a sleeper starter because that game's going to be a shootout. He's going to throw the ball. Arizona's defense is good, but not great. So I think that if you are looking for a sleeper starter, Bridgewater is that guy. But yeah, he is the last member of the Night's Watch that I think is in running for Lord Commander. So, who of the guys we've mentioned, Bridgewater, Newton, Watson, Murray, Mahomes, Prescott, Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Last week, I think we said it was Russell Wilson, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Who is this week's Lord Commander?
It's got to be Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, just the way that he literally dominated the Ravens defense with ease. Like, you know, you could argue that, like, you know, it was behind Andy Reid, just like, you know, with his whole but no, like, Patrick Mahomes are completely unstoppable against like a very good Ravens defense. So I got to give him for this week.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Grant?
I was gonna say, I think the comparison with the defense does make my choice a little tougher. I think I'm still gonna stick with Russ, man.
My nigga.
Just because, like, I feel like you have to like really outshine, you know, the commander to take the spot, right? So I mean, if Russ came into it with the crown, like, nobody knocked him off the throne last weekend. So, you know, he was like perfect from the field. He was efficient. He ran it in. He's doing everything that you want to do on the field and in your fantasy team. So I'm sticking with Russ.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. You know, I was gonna say Patrick Mahomes and agree with you, Lionel, for sure on that. But Grant made a very convincing argument that, you know, Russ, he didn't do anything to warrant taking the crown away from him, and it wasn't as if Mahomes exceeded against a tougher defense. I will definitely say that it was easily one of the best performances I've seen all week. And he just, watching that game and watching him dance around the pocket and make moves and just hit strikes and just ignore the blitz, it was amazing. I will definitely give him that. But Russell threw for 5 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. And that, too, is also impressive. You know what? I think Patrick Mahomes will have another opportunity next week to take the crown if he beats Cam Newton in a similar fashion. The Patriots, show it to me one more time, Patrick. Show me to me one more time. So I'm gonna keep the crown on Russell Wilson. It was a great performance against the Cowboys. He looks like he's prime. 5 touchdowns again. It's Russell Wilson. You are the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.